I went out for a bike ride this morning as the weather's warming up, and when I got back home, this big box had arrived. I've been waiting for it. It's one of those Japanese space saving pieces, and I thought it was going to be really straightforward. But as soon as I opened it, I realized it might not be as simple as I thought. Putting it together turned into a mission, and of course, Millie decided she needed to be involved in everything. Somewhere in the middle of all of that, I tried to bake bread, which didn't exactly go well. So by the time I finished, I could see why this kind of thing works so well in Japan. All right, so here it is. This is what I've been waiting for. Another box. It didn't look that big online, and it's definitely a lot heavier than I thought. I'm actually really curious to see if this works the way they show it, because if it does, this can be a game changer for my setup in the house. One of the things I've noticed about living in Japan is how the space is different. Houses are smaller and storage is definitely limited. And you can't just keep adding more and more furniture to create storage. You've really got to think about each and every purchase so that it works harder for your space. I've been really reluctant to buy new furniture because I just want to keep everything as minimal as possible, but I have been struggling a little bit, and I'm wondering if you can guess what this actually is. Those of you doing my katakana course probably read the outside of the box. What are you doing? Do you like it? Are you in my makeup box, hey? Wow. In Japanese, this is called a kosume wagon. I guess in English we'll call it a makeup caddy. Now, I've had my makeup stored in a fishing tackle box that I got at the hardware store, and sometimes I was doing my makeup in the bathroom, but I found it was too dark, even with all of the lights turned on. And anyone that's a bit older knows it's better to do your makeup in natural light. So I saw this on Instagram. This video popped up, and I thought, what is this invention? How cool is this? And I went down a rabbit hole of Googling all of the different designs and styles. And I thought this little thing could act as a side table. There were so many different colors, options, really, really fancy, expensive ones, but I just went with a very simple one that just doesn't stand out. I don't know how the algorithm knew that I needed this. It's like someone's watching you all of the time, very spooky. But I know that in a small space, something like this is actually going to make a really big difference to my daily life. Now to try and put this thing together, and I bought this little driver set when I was living in the apartment, and it has come in so handy for different projects. I don't want to get the drill out because, this is a probably cheaply made cabinet, so I just want to be a little bit careful with the screws and do it all by hand. With anything new to the house, Millie decided this was hers and she needed to protect it, and she was watching everything I did like a hawk. And she didn't like this glue for some reason. She was angry that I put the glue in the holes and was definitely trying to attack me when I was trying to do this part. Even though this makeup caddy came pretty much put together, there were so many little screws and different parts that you had to put together, and the bottom one was just a magnet so that it magnetizes itself shut, and then you just have to screw on all of the caster wheels, which have different locking mechanisms, so you've got to think where you're placing them. Surprisingly a lot heavier than I thought, but I guess that makes sense so it can stand upright and be stable. As I'm putting this all together, I do realize that I don't actually use that much makeup anymore. I mean, I have quite a lot of skincare, mainly because of my rosacea, but I have very much simplified my makeup side of things, and I just have a few things that I really like. So when I'm putting everything into the drawers, I'm thinking about what it is and whether I need it or not, rather than just have everything in there. My lounge room gets a lot of natural light because I have windows sort of on all sides of the house that let the sun in. So it's actually the perfect place to do my makeup. And quite often I do sit at the lounge with the mirror on the coffee table. But, you know, carting around the fishing tackle box isn't ideal. And this is so much better. And actually, there's so much storage in here. I've hardly used, half of the storage that's available. And I think Millie has a new place to sit. I don't think she'll be letting this go anytime soon. I'm pretty sure she likes this as her Queen Sheba position. Now, I did also get this at Daiso. This is a 100 yen product. So good for cleaning your brushes. If you're ever coming to Japan, make sure you grab one of these. It's got a rough bottom and you just scrub your brushes and then sit them there to dry. Now, while I'm in the kitchen, there's something exciting I've been working on. It's sourdough starter. I didn't know how easy it was to make starter. So this is actually day 2. So I'm about to feed the starter today for the 3rd time. And it's really easy. You just tip out, you discard half of it, and you add in some more flour and some filtered water. Now, I'm not an expert baker. I have been watching some videos on how to do this from a company called Craftsy. This part of the video is sponsored by Craftsy. Baking isn't something I've ever been confident with, so instead of guessing my way through it, I've been using Craftsy.
New skill so you can make your own beautiful, delicious loaves of sourdough bread in your home oven right now in the 21st century.
Craftsy is basically an online space where you can learn creative skills properly, step by step. I really like that the classes are easy to follow and you're not just watching a recipe, they're explaining what's happening and why things work, which makes a huge difference. There's things like cake decorating, sewing, cooking, quilting, knitting, even photography. So it's not just one skill, it's everything creative in one place. There's over 2,000 classes, downloadable recipes and patterns, and even sessions where you can learn alongside people and ask questions in real time. If you've ever wanted to try something new or just slow down and make things with your own hands, it's actually really satisfying. The first 1,000 people watching this video to use the link in my description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. This is for new members only. So I think my sourdough starter won't be ready for another 4 or 5 days. So what I'm going to do today is make some Japanese milk bread. And I used to make this a lot in Australia when I was missing Japan. And it's pretty easy. You just start off with this little slurry of milk and flour, which you heat up. And I was actually following a recipe, but I made a huge error right about now. It's funny watching this back because I can see what I did wrong. What it was is the bread maker here in Japan is a lot smaller than a lot of the bread makers we have in other countries. It's like a mini one, and I didn't factor this in. So when I was putting all of the ingredients in, instead of 250 grams of flour, I probably should have used 180 grams of flour. Now, I got this bread maker at the secondhand store, like most of the things I've bought, and I just sort of had this craving to make my own bread, and especially sourdough. I've really wanted to eat sourdough for a while, and it's a little bit harder to get sourdough here. But for now, I'm going to make some Japanese milk bread, and this is a great way to get a feeling of Japan at home. It's so simple to make. I do want to get away from using yeast, but I have to wait for that sourdough starter, so I can't avoid it for now. And I thought, I might have some pumpkin soup to go with my Japanese milk bread. Pumpkins aren't in season in Japan at the moment, and I found at Kintetsu department store, this one was from New Zealand. So I thought, yeah, why not? I'll have some New Zealand pumpkin soup for my lunch and dinner. Super simple recipe. I just throw in whatever veggies I have. Sometimes I even throw in a bit of broccoli. I fry up the onion and carrots until the onion is translucent. Then I add in the pumpkin. I like to add a bit of potato just to help thicken it up a bit. And I always add a little bit of Japanese vegetable broth. And I'm not really fussy, but I did find this one and it looked like it was some pretty good ingredients, locally made ingredients. So I'm just adding that one in. And this is where my memory did not serve me well, and I started mashing it because I was like, I'm sure I had a stick mixer. Yes, I do have a stick mixer in Australia. I don't have one here in Japan. And I was thinking, oh no, what am I going to do now? This is going to just be a lumpy, unyummy soup. And it was about that time I noticed the bread had risen to the very top of the bread maker, and it still had 55 minutes to go. And I thought, oh no, I've just got too much flour. And then I remembered I had a Ninja for my smoothies and my protein shakes. So I added like 1 cup of the soup in at a time and blended it up that way. And I got the creamy, yummy texture I had been imagining. So a bit of an improvisation. And then the final step is I just added some cream to my pumpkin soup. Beautiful yellow color, and it smells divine. Perfect for a cooler day. Now, my bread is ready, and I'm really scared to open the lid because I have a bad feeling it's going to be stuck and it might be all soggy inside. So it's not a good feeling. No. The good news is that it has risen nice and high, but obviously I've got the quantities wrong. I mean, the ratio to flour and water is right, but the size of my bread maker is wrong. So yes, something you live and learn. Looks like it's turned out perfectly. My only fear is now all of the steam is escaping from the bottom of here. So I just put a little bit of baking paper on the bottom, and my bread maker is an absolute mess. So while it's still hot and easy to clean, I got straight in there and gave that a big clean. But apart from that, it looks pretty good. I mean, you won't know until you cut it open. And I'm just hoping that it doesn't turn too soggy, because usually you don't cut the bread. You let it cool right down and then cut it. So I'm just hoping this little bit of baking paper on the bottom is just going to hold it in. The moment of truth is here. The bread has cooled down, and voila, look at that. It's a little bit moist at the bottom. You can see where the air got in, but the top part is absolutely perfect. And can I tell you, it tastes divine. So at the end of the day, it isn't the end of the world. I've got a beautiful slice of bread by the looks of it. My soup also worked out really well. So even though it was a bit of a dramatic cooking session today, everything seemed to turn out okay. It's not always about getting everything right. Sometimes it's just about letting the day unfold a bit and figuring things out as you go, which I managed to do in this case. Freshly baked bread doesn't last very good, so I'll keep it fresh for today and probably up till tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to slice it all up and put it in the freezer. Well, it's Monday morning now, and I've been using this for a couple of days. I'm headed off to work, and I have to say this caddy has made things a lot easier. Everything is in one place. I'm not going from room to room, and I can actually see a bit better with the natural light. I wasn't sure if this was going to be worth it or easy to use, but now I can really see why this kind of thing works so well in Japan. It just makes sense, especially when you don't have a lot of space. Something like this actually changes your everyday. I am curious to know what you think of this makeup caddy, and if you've come across any really good space saving or ideas or things that have worked well in your home. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, because I'm always open to different ideas and what other people are doing in their spaces. Thank you for being here and spending this weekend with Millie and I, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. I'll leave you with a bit of footage of Millie being silly.